Hello, good morning. It's an exciting day to talk business. My name is Vladimir Kim and it's Business 360 on Spectrum TV. In today's Business 360, we'll look at the outlines. We'll look at the very fine details regarding the Nigerian stock market, as well as the commodities and the forex market. We'll x-ray a decade of Bitcoin. Let's begin from there. It's been a rocky decade for crypto. Bitcoin, one of the most popular cryptocurrencies, began trading at $0.008 in July 2010. Prices peaked at over $64,000 in November 2021. Today, it's just over $27,000. It hasn't always been smooth sailing. Crypto is currently weathering a cruel winter and a storm with depressed prices, scandals, and layoffs. Silvergate Capital, which used to be the go-to bank for the biggest names in crypto, said on March 3rd it plans to write off its assets and wind down its businesses, becoming the first mainstream victim of the crypto crash. A few days later, Silicon Valley Bank and crypto-friendly Signature Bank in New York collapsed, rattling the banking sector and sparking fears of the next global financial crisis. And while the industry has made a few people very rich, it also came with problems, including addiction. That's a story regarding the banking situation and crypto market. For 10 years, the crypto world have seen its ups and downs. Despite the increased connectivity in the world, there are still significant gaps in access to technology. In sub-Saharan Africa, only 22% of the population had access to mobile internet services at the end of 2021, according to World Bank report. The report titled Digital Africa, Technological Transformation for Jobs. It highlights that lack of mobile internet service and access is hampering job creation and poverty reduction in the region. The report highlights the critical need for African countries to increase the uptake of digital technologies to drive employment growth and reduce poverty. Still looking at African businesses and outlooks. The finance minister of Ghana, Ken Ofori-Atta, left Accra for China to discuss debt restructuring with the East Asian lenders. Ghana has already restructured its domestic debt as part of the Common Framework Initiative supported by the group of 20 major economies. Ghana, which is going through the worst economic crisis in a generation, and the International Monetary Fund IMF reached a staff-level agreement in December for a $3 billion loan. But the IMF board must first approve the program before lenders can ask or be asked to provide financing assurances. With about $1.7 billion in debt, China is Ghana's largest bilateral creditor. On Thursday and Friday, there will be meetings. According to data from the Bank of Tanzania and the Ministry of Agriculture, Tanzania has now become a food-producing hub in Africa. This is based on the country's recent agricultural output, which has superseded the nation's annual output requirement. Tanzania's food production boom is the initiative of the current administration, which has doubled investments in irrigation farming, fertilizer subsidies, seed production, and seed subsidies. According to the data, the nation sold vegetables worth $1.01 billion over the course of 5 years, from 2018 to 2022, and exported grain crops worth $999 million during the same period, primarily rice and maize. Fruit exports were worth $71.4 million between 2018 and 2022. Fish and fish products exports totaled $800 million. The value of electronic utility payments fell by 44.86% in February, despite the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesign policy aimed at growing cashless transactions. In February, the outlook had been totally different, but amid all these concerns, it's not really worked out. The decline in the rating. But we'll get to talk more on it when we return from this break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It's Business 360. My name is Blyden Kem. Still talking about electronic utility payments in Nigeria. The value of electronic utility payments fell by 44.86% in February, despite the Central Bank of Nigeria's Naira redesigned policy aimed at growing cashless transactions. In February, the value of utility bills payment fell to 90.93 billion naira from 164.89 billion naira in January, according to the data from the Nigeria Interbank Settlement Systems. Well, the concerns are back, and it's difficult for people to realize what the necessities of events are. Well, while looking at these concerns and the ability for economic standings to be up, settlements deals are still downward in Nigeria, and it's becoming very difficult despite the Naira debacles and the scarcity of these funds. Well, the significance is signified a 2-year low for e-bills payments since hitting 78.38 billion naira in February 2020. E-bills pay has consistently stayed above 100 billion naira, rising to 161.87 billion naira in February 2021 and 218.8 billion naira in February 2022. E-bills are daily bill transactions that are accessible and seamless. It involves the payment of bills, fees, levies, premiums, and subscriptions through payment channels. Still in Nigeria, Abe Mortgage Bank has said it recorded 830.4 million naira profit before tax in its 2022 financial period. The bank disclosed this in a statement to celebrate its 31st anniversary. This was a 26.62% increase from 2021 and kicked off 2023 with a new investment rating of A from DataPro, a reputable technology-driven credit rating agency, having achieved a BBB rating from Augusto & Co. earlier in 2022. What a good news for Abe Mortgage Bank. It would be a good time to move to global economy to look at the persuasions and perspectives within global climes, beginning with economic calendar. We'll be looking at the expected data releases for today and the data release that's already been out today, Tuesday, March 21st. Let's go to the calendar. The economic calendar today, it's indicative of different outlooks, especially from Great Britain at the beginning of the day, 8 a.m. in the morning. Public sector net borrowing was at a decline, a negative £15.86 billion. Around 11 a.m., the economic sentiment index in Euro area dropped to 10 from 29.7 points previously, indicating concerns within the economic conditions in the Euro area. As at 11 a.m., a key index, the economic sentiment index in Germany, dropped from 28.1 to 13 in March, indicating the decline. But further outlook would take place around 1:30 p.m. today, which is the Canadian for February. Previously, it stood at 5.9%, and hopefully, depending on the outlook, consensus outlook shows 5.4%, a slight drop, and 5.2% is the forecast from the Bank of Canada. Well, we'll get to find out what the outlook would be and the data release would be around 1:30 p.m. Looking at the economic perspective, reevaluating U.S. recession risks. The U.S. economy has been creating net new jobs at a healthy pace. Will the fallout in the banking sector cool a robust job market? That's a question in many lips of economists. Let's have insights by Blueprint Nap.
The yield curve inverted in 2022. Many financial forecasters piled into the view that a recession was coming in 2023. The most widely forecasted recession ever has not happened, at least not yet, because nothing significant had broken until the Silicon Valley Bank failure. In 1990, it was the bankruptcy of the savings and loan industry. The S&L business model was to borrow short-term from depositors and lend long-term for mortgages and to corporations, involving considerable interest rate risk that could not survive an inverted yield curve. In 2000, it was the tech wreck on Wall Street. In the 1990s, tech was an emerging sector, and many companies did not yet have reliable earnings, with valuations based as much on hope as anything else. In 2008, it was the subprime mortgage crisis with the breakdown of credit risk analysis in the financial system that triggered the recession. Now that something has broken, that is the failure of Silicon Valley Bank triggered by their large exposure to rising interest rates and their concentration of depositors in the emerging tech sector, well, recession risk has probably risen, but a recession is not inevitable. The Fed and the FDIC move rapidly to contain any domino effects within the financial system. The largest banks in the system are much better capitalized than in 2008 subprime crisis. Overall, the financial system appears to be managing its interest rate risk quite well. On net, the job market is still robust. And while the follow-through from the SVB episode may lead to slower growth in technology companies with further layoffs, a recession may still be avoided. We should not underestimate the resilience of the U.S. economic system.
Well, that was the outlook from Blueprint Nap. Let's move to a perspective from Africa and Nigeria. We'll be looking at the top 10 fastest growing subsectors in Nigeria. While Nigeria's oil sector experienced some shortcomings in 2022, other sectors have improved, showing remarkable growth. This list is courtesy of a report done by Nairametrics, a Nigerian business news agency. According to Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's GDP growth and its rate for 2022 stood at 3.1%, compared to the 3.4% GDP rate experienced in 2021. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, projected Nigeria's economic growth to be 3.2% in 2023. But we'll be looking at other sectors beyond oil that can build the GDP growth. Here are the 10 sectors in the country that grew by the most figures in 2022. Let's find out. According to these ideals, the rank sector at number 1 is acquiring and other minerals, which has a 27.52% growth rate. For air transport, it's adding up to 26.23 at number 2. Financial institutions at 17.24%, metal ores at 18.98%, road transport at 15%, water transport 14%, water supply, sewage, waste management and remediation at 18.62%, telecommunications at number 8, chemical and pharmaceutical products and insurance at number 10 at 8.68%. It will be a good time to look at the metal markets and other commodities and the perspective in the market. But beginning with gold, gold briefly tops $2,000, and Todd Colvin has more on this. Let's hear from Todd.
2009, their highest in over a year, albeit brief, and then we saw it pull back settling the session right around 1980. A pretty wide range today for gold, about a $44 range, ending this session down about 10 bucks, as I said, hovering at around 1980. Since March 7th, though, gold is up about 9.5%. So since this banking crisis, since these economic issues and some of the central bank changes have kind of come to the forefront, gold prices have rallied here. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out as we have some key central bank meetings. The dollar was mixed today. It was actually a little bit lower. Treasury yields were very much lower, but rallied back higher. Neither of that seemed to have an effect on gold. Again, gold down about 10 bucks and ending the session around 1980. Now let's take a look at one other variable here, the gold-silver ratio. And I point that out because right now it hovers around 87.
Good time to look at the market, what the metal market is saying this morning. The price of gold, silver, copper, steel, and the rest. The market this morning has shown some positivity for copper alone, but looking at lithium too, no significant difference in the market. For gold prices, 1,966, dropping from the 2,000 mark we've talked about, dropping by 12.11 points this morning, a negative 0.61% decline. For silver, a slightly downward, copper slightly upward this morning. For steel, it's dropped by 77 points, a negative 1.82% decline. 4,156 Chinese yuan per ton. Let's have a look at the agricultural market. The agricultural market this morning has shown some glimpses of hopes. Soybeans, 1,486 US dollars per bushel, upward by 0.5 points, a 0.03% appreciation. For wheat, is 700 US dollars per bushel, upward by 0.09 points, a 0.01% appreciation. For lumber is slightly downward this morning by 7 points. Palm oil, since leaving the 4,000 mark, it's gone up slightly today by 18 points. Current price 3,803 Malaysian ringgit per ton, upward by 0.48% appreciation. And that's the outlook from the agricultural market. Let's quickly have a look at the energy market. The energy market, what's happening within the energy market. Energy market shows crude oil and the opportunities in crude. Crude oil, 68 US dollars per barrel. Current price, you could see, moving up by 0.521 points, a 0.77% appreciation. For Brent crude, is the outlook for Brent crude at 74 US dollars per barrel, upward by 0.6 points, a 0.84% appreciation. Well, we'll move away from the energy market and other stories and get to look at what traders are saying in the market regarding Bitcoin. Traders in Asia are selling Bitcoin, but those in the US are buying it, according to many strategies and different outlooks in the market. But we'll get to hear from Marcus Sterling of Metric Sport, who discusses the demand for cryptocurrency in the wake of the banking crisis. Let's hear from Marcus.
You're lagging, especially if you compare the beta that those cryptocurrencies should have. I think it's really a strong sign that also institutions are buying. We ran different kind of like analysis when Bitcoin actually goes up and into which time region. So now we're seeing, of course, Bitcoin a little bit down in the Asia region. And historically, Bitcoin is up 70%, but 60% of those 70 is all done during US hours. And Asia is actually down 10% year to date. So we're seeing people that are in Asia, trading in Asia, that tend to sell Bitcoin right now, but people that are trading during US hours seem to be buying. And I think if you compare to like Asian equities, it tends to be like more retail focused versus US equities tends to be more institutional focused. So I think you can make an argument that right now it's more institutions that are buying, and that's probably more driven by kind of the macro headwinds that we have been seeing that are now. I mean, the point here is really that crypto, especially Bitcoin, was developed as an alternative payment system. And when you look at the last kind of deposit crisis that we have was really in Cyprus in the Q1 2013. And this is when Bitcoin went from $15 on January 1st, 2013 to $240. So it really went up almost like around 15 times. And this is when depositors were bailed in, when depositors had to take a haircut. And I think here, we kind of like, yes, I think the worst thing we have kind of like dodged the bullet here, but nevertheless.
That's the outlook regarding what traders are doing around the world. Let's move to the market to see the cryptocurrency market this morning, what the price of Bitcoin is and other cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin this morning has shown some decline after going past the 27,000 mark. Many traders and investors are aiming at the $30,000 per one Bitcoin, but it's dropped today by 340 points. Ether also downward by 19 points this morning. Binance slightly downward. Cardano little here, little there, not really upward. But that's the outlook from the Bitcoin market. Let's look at Naira's perspective in the black market. What the conditions are regarding Naira against the majors in the black market. At the international window, we've seen the outline of these markets. Let's go to the black market and see what the perspective is this morning. The black market exchange, dollar to Naira, current price at the buying rate is 747 Naira equaling $1 and 740 Naira equaling $1. For pounds to Naira, current price is 930 Naira to £1 at buying rate and selling rate 918 Naira to £1. For euro to Naira, the current rate is 786 Naira to €1 at buying rate and selling rate 775 Naira equaling €1. Let's make a quick stop at the global stock market, beginning with Asian stock as Asian stocks advance. Asian equity market rose on Tuesday, tracking Wall Street higher as investors were hopeful that a global banking turmoil would be contained. In Australia, the Reserve Bank of Australia said it would consider the case for a pause at the April meeting. Shares in Australia, Hong Kong, and China gained, while Japanese markets were closed for a holiday. That's the outlook on today's Business 360. My name is Vlad Nukim. Thank you for watching.